Everyone knows that we have a problem in this country and it's not getting any better. The problem is that people are coming in from other countries illegally and breaking our laws, which is causing havoc in our society. This is obviously a bad thing and must be dealt with. The way we do this is to deport the people who are here illegally. Simple. Of course, if you are on the left, you're supposed to believe that since America is supposedly built on stolen land, then no one owns that land. Thus, it's perfectly fine to have illegals come in. That's it. If they vote for you, of course. If they vote for Republicans, nah, we don't want you anymore. Kamala Harris seems to not know how to articulate her thoughts on the subject and explain it much, if at all. Which is why most Americans still don't know her stance on illegal immigration or immigration in general. I like to use context clues for when the answer isn't told to me. And looking at everything she has done at our border, or more accurately, not done at our border, is ignore it and tell ICE to step down. Her position on immigration is just let everybody into this country willy-nilly, subject Americans to have illegal immigrants break our laws and cause havoc on everyday Americans. That's her stance on it. She's not going to come out and say that. That's just what she has allowed under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's presidency, in which Kamala Harris was in charge of the border. If you want to sit here and say, well, maybe she wasn't in charge of the border. She was. Again, this is the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris administration. They're tied to both of them are tied to the administration, no matter how much they can try to separate each other from it. You can look at what Kamala Harris said that she will do with illegal immigration or immigration in general, and she says, well, the wall isn't the answer. Okay, so what is the answer? She doesn't say what the answer is because she knows for a fact that she wants these people coming into this country and just voting for the Democrats. That's what exactly she wants. She wants these people in this country voting for who they tell them to vote for. She does not want them to vote for Republicans. She wants them to just be there voting for the Democratic Party time and time and time again, thinking that, oh, since it's the Democratic Party, they're Democratic. Oh, I want democracy. No, it's not like that at all. With that being said, let's dig in.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging into the first article, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have Kamala Harris, on Kamala Harris. Majority of Americans say Kamala Harris isn't. The majority of Americans say Kamala Harris has not clearly explained immigration stance. A majority of Americans say that Vice President and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris has not clearly expressed her stance on illegal immigration, even as it has become one of her top issues for voters. A new poll from Pew Research found. The poll from Pew Research conducted from September 30th to October 6th found more than 60% say that the Democratic candidate for president, Kamala Harris, has not clearly expressed her policies regarding illegal immigration. Multiple public opinion surveys have found that illegal immigration is one of the top issues on the minds of voters for the November election. A sizable majority of respondents in Pew poll, 70%, say that former President Donald Trump has clearly articulated his plan to address illegal immigration. The poll, which had 5,110 respondents, also found that majorities also believe that Harris has not clearly expressed her position for strengthening the economy, foreign policy, the wars between Russia and Ukraine, or Israel and Hamas, or healthcare. Abortion was the only issue on the list of 7 that respondents say that Harris had adequately explained her stance on. Now, of course, the Democratic Party in general has non-stop paid attention to this issue of abortion non-stop. Like, they talked about it, they talk about it, they talk about it. That's all that they talk about. Now, of course, when she has obviously only focused on abortion this, she's not paying attention to the actual issues that Americans actually care about. Americans don't really care about the abortion stance whatsoever. The Democrats are making it the talking point of the land, talking about it every single day on every single mainstream issue, on every single mainstream media network. That's exactly what they're talking about. And it's sad and pathetic, too, because of the fact that so many Americans are struggling with the price of meat at the grocery stores, or the price in general at the grocery stores, gas prices. They're complaining about all these different prices, which is the actual economics stance of America. But of course, Kamala Harris is not going to pay attention to that because she has what she actually stands on, and that's abortion, killing babies. That's exactly what she cares about. The Pew poll results came as the Democratic candidate has attempted to pivot on immigration, marketing herself as a border state prosecutor, which just does not make any sense because the Biden-Harris administration proceeding over unprecedented surges on illegal immigration on both the southern and the northern borders. One recent achievement from Harris, which implied that the Democrat was in favor of securing the border, even included a shot of Trump's border wall, which she herself had said that does not work. So why are you going to use it in a video? Didn't make any sense. Over 10 million people have crossed the border under Biden-Harris administration, with an estimated 1.7 million illegal immigrant gotaways recorded since he was inaugurated in 2021. The figures present a stark contrast from the Trump administration, when there was 415,000 total reported gotaways for 2018, 19, and 2020, which is just crazy. 3 years compared to 3 years. This is more than double the amount under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris, if you do not remember, she was the border czar. She was in charge of the border. Now you can sit here and say, well, there's no such thing as a border czar. Well, okay, yeah, there's no border czar, but you are put in charge of the border, which makes you in charge of the border. I mean, it's just common sense here. What are we playing games on the English language here? If you're in charge of something, that means that you are in charge of something. And if you are in charge of something and it goes catastrophic, then you're responsible. If you're the CEO of a company and the company is not making profits and it's going out of business, you are blamed. You are the CEO. You are in charge of the company, or you're supposed to be, at least. My goodness, I can't believe I'm explaining this. Again, on every single issue, Kamala Harris has failed us. Foreign policy, she does not even have a clear stance on what she actually wants to do with foreign policy. With Trump, 4 years, 0 wars. That's exactly what we can go based off of. We don't want wars. We want wars to be solved. I trust Trump way, way more. Like, it's not even in the ballpark. Way more than Kamala Harris. Because I saw what Trump did. And I saw exactly all of the stuff that Trump achieved. So, with that being said, we have another article from the Daily Wire. Speaking of international battles here, fire breaks out at Iranian factory linked to nuclear program, the report says. A massive fire broke out over the weekend at a factory in Iran and is reportedly linked to the country's nuclear program, raising suspicions that the fire was an act of sabotage. Iranian International reported that the fire, which was not widely reported outside of Iran, erupted in Shadabad, Iran market in Tehran. Israeli Intelligence Research Center, Intelli Times, said that the fire consumed 2 metal factories that were engaged in the production of the chips for parts of the centrifuges in valves that could be used by the Iranian's nuclear industry. The report said that the damage from the fire was cross-referenced with satellite images and industrial areas and maps identifying the companies located at the facilities. One company said that was burned down proves engineering, design, and engraving services for the production of centrifugal compressors and valves, while the other company that was burned down manufactured valves and pipes for the gas industry. The valves and pipes can be used by the nuclear industry to support uranium conversion and enrichment plants, the report said. And of course, this is exactly what happens if a third world country tries to start producing nuclear. This is exactly what happens because they have no idea how to even deal with it, and they're trying to do it so fast to use this weapon against Israel or to potentially use it against the United States. They're trying to do this so fast that they're not being careful with it, and then it ends up causing a fire, and then it explodes. The Deputy Director and Research Fellow at the Foundation of Defense of Democracy's Non-Proliferation and Biodefense Program called attention to the fire on a post stating that there was something to watch. Israel reportedly not targeting Iranian nuclear sites in upcoming counterstrike may simply mean no aerial bombing. she said. Supply chain facilities mysteriously catching fire, exploding, sudden unexplained damage might be a different story. Israel has a long history of sabotaging and destroying Iranian's nuclear facilities, which is a good thing, by the way, because we're not sitting here, or Israel, I should say, is not sitting here bombing just factories in the middle of nowhere. They're just sabotaging it, which is exactly what should happen, because Iran does not need nuclear bombs. What are they going to use that against? Us. They're going to use that against us. So do I support Israel sabotaging Iranian's nuclear program? Yes, 1000%. Do I support other countries disputing or sabotaging other countries' nuclear programs? Like if a country was to dispute or disrupt North Korea's nuclear program, I 100% agree with that. Do it. If you can take the blame on it and we in America get to reap the benefits of it, I don't understand what the problem really is here. I completely agree with this. Israel, keep doing this. Like, everybody in the comments are like, oh, whoa, what a shame. Oh, boy. Oh, no. I wonder what happened. Like, I completely agree. Yep, this should happen. Mess around and find out. This is exactly what I say. With that being said, we do have another article from the Federalist. We have Democratic judge dismisses lawsuit seeking to keep non-citizens of Arizona's voter rolls. Non-citizens off Arizona's voter rolls. Now, of course, there's a lot of non-citizens that are going to be on this year's election because of the fact that a lot of people around the country is trying to sit here and say, listen, we need to take all these people off the voting rolls because everybody's getting enrolled to vote, and it doesn't make any sense. This is just like Massachusetts, where I live. The state just recently enrolled a bunch of people to vote, even though they never even enrolled to vote. They just said if you have a license, if you have a driver's license, you're going to automatically get enrolled to vote. Why? Nobody chose to get enrolled to vote. There's like 20 people in my family that got enrolled to vote when they didn't even choose to get enrolled. Like my mom, she said that she doesn't want to vote. She got enrolled. My sister got a pre-qualification to enroll to vote. She's not even 18 yet. It's like, what are we even doing here? It's like you're just going to get automatically enrolled to vote if you don't want to vote. I mean, yeah, I think everybody should vote, but you shouldn't be automatically enrolled to vote. You should have to go through the steps just like I did. Verify that you're an actual citizen here. Again, on Friday, a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by a conservative group and an Arizona resident that sought to force election officials to ensure non-citizens are not registering to vote in the state. Of course, Arizona just does not care because it's a Democratic governor right now. Writing on behalf of the United States District Court for the District of Arizona, Judge Chryssia Linham, a Biden appointee, ruled that the Strong Communities Foundation of Arizona, the SCFA, and state resident Yovreen Chell lacked standing to bring their legal challenge filed against Arizona's 15 records last month, as the Federalist previously reported that the lawsuit alleges that the recorders have failed to take the actions required by law to ensure that foreign citizens are removed from the voter rolls. Okay, but what do you mean? How about you as the court said, well, okay, I can see that you're missing a couple steps here, but you have taken this issue to me. I will allow this to go through because non-citizens should not be voting in our elections, because we already said as a democratic state or democratic federally, we have said, oh no, well, non-citizens should not be able to vote. So they don't vote. It's against the law, blah, blah, blah. This is exactly what they've been saying this whole entire time. So as soon as you're given the list of people that are not citizens and they should not be able to vote, you say, well, you actually have not proved to me why they shouldn't vote. But you just said it's against the law. So why? It's obviously not against the law then. It's the same exact thing with the abortion issue. If it is against the law to have an abortion after 9 months, then why not ban it? After 8 months, after 7 months, why not ban it? Oh no, because you can't even do it. Okay, so ban it. What's the big deal if you ban it then? Just like schools expediting the process for transgendering or transitioning kids. If it's not happening, then why not ban it? Because it is happening and you don't want to admit that it is. Same exact issue time and time again. They think that they can lie to us, the people, but we're smarter than that. They're the dumb ones. With that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. So, digging right in, we actually have a Federalist article here. We have Ohio elections officials fail to train poll workers on blocking foreign nationals from voting. So, in one case, a poll worker tells the Federalist trainees, the Federalist trainers told her she is not the ID police and threatened her job if she pressed the issue. Okay, so if you go there and say, I need your ID to vote, then nope, you can get fired from your poll working job. That doesn't even make any sense. If you make sure that only people that are citizens of this country vote in our elections, then you are held liable and you are fired from your poll watching job. Yeah, they should be sued. Sue Mizzurini said that she was surprised last month when Fairfield County Board of Elections training staff skipped over a training session on ensuring only legal and permissible forms of ID identification are used to vote. The Baltimore, Ohio poll worker was well aware of the Secretary of State Frank LaRosie's June training directive mandating that all precinct election officials, PEOs, are trained on unacceptable forms of voter ID, including identification used by non-citizens, who are not allowed to vote in the United States and Ohio elections. With thousands of foreign nationals showing up on state voter rolls, including hundreds of Ohio and possibly many thousands more, LaRosie is right to be concerned. But when Mazzurani asked her group trainer about the missing curriculum, she said that she was threatened to a bro-beating lecture. She, the instructor, said, "You are not the ID police. This is not your job. If that is what you want to do, then I recommend you search out an entity that will allow you to use those skills. But that is not what we're looking for here," the poll worker told me in a phone interview on Friday afternoon. Mizzurini said that she later asked another instructor who responded even more tensely. He said, "If you decide to pursue this avenue, we will remove you from being a poll watcher, and you will never work as a poll watcher again." She is not alone. Failed to comply with its clear legal duty. Okay, of course. So all of these people that are sitting here saying, well, if you enforce this voter ID law, then you will be held accountable and you will be fired and you can never work as a poll watcher again. They should be sued. Sued because of the fact that when you are sitting here enforcing the laws of the land, saying that if you are not a citizen of this country, then you cannot vote. If you are doing that and now you are getting threatened to get fired as a poll watcher and put on a list of not getting hired again, then that is disgusting. That should be held accountable in the court of law. And all of these people that are allowing these Democrats to get all of these fake votes, which fake votes is a person voting in our election that cannot vote in our election because of the fact that they do not qualify. They should be held liable. Those people should be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law, because that is not the law that we're supposed to be following. You should be following the laws. You cannot let people, just like how if somebody wants to get alcohol and they're not 21 yet, that bar or that liquor store can get prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. They could get fined. They can get shut down. It's up to the discretion of the police officers that are doing this very test. So again, if we have to comply with these voter regulations, or this ID regulations, I should say, to actually get alcohol, to get cigarettes, to get tobacco products, to get anything, to get cigars, to go into a lottery, to get a scratch ticket, to go into a casino, then why can we not use an ID to make sure that you are a legal citizen of this country? Just doesn't make any sense. Unless they're using this to actually rig the election, in which we can ask some questions here. I'm not saying yes or no, because YouTube is going to ban me. I'm just asking questions. Ohio election integrity advocate and poll worker Marshall Stitchbird said that he experienced the same issue at the pre-election training session conducted by the Montgomery County Board of Elections. Once the course turned to the ID recognition section, Sturbridge said instructors mentioned nothing about identifying non-citizen identification. Well versed in election integrity matters and not shy about questioning the experts, Stitch asked about the omission. He was told that the material was not available for that class. Sturbridge said that he followed up with the poll workers taking in the trainings in subsequent sessions. They told him they did not receive training on checking non-citizen ID either. I learned multiple other poll workers had the same problem. Sturbridge told me in a phone interview on Friday afternoon that, in fact, he said that the problem appears to be systemic. Sturbridge said poll workers in Knox, Miami, Wood, Franklin counties experienced similar training omissions. Franklin County, the state's most populous country and the home of Ohio state capital, Columbus, the precinct election official took his complaint to the Ohio Supreme Court, seeking a writ of mandamus to demand the state boards of elections conduct the training as spelled out in the Secretary of State's directive. The court took the case and put it on an expedited timeline. Sturbridge's lawsuit asserts, and this is exactly what I was just saying, sue, and this is exactly what happened, so that's good. Asserts the integrity of the forthcoming general election is threatened by the failure of the Montgomery County Board of Elections and its members to comply with their legal duties. It is a legal duty to make sure only citizens vote in our election. That is a legal duty that you upheld by being in that position. If you are in the position to make sure that only citizens vote in our election and non-citizens do vote in our election, you have failed your position. It is not acceptable, and this is exactly what the Federalist is getting into. The complaint filed on September 30th cites the Secretary of State's directive, which states Ohio boards of elections must use training materials prepared by the Secretary of State's office, as well as the additional materials prepared by the board or on behalf of the board for the board's specific needs, including best practices. PEO training specifically must include instruction on how to verify a voter's identity with a photo ID provided by the voter, and how to ensure that only legally permissible forms of ID are accepted, and PEOs are trained on unacceptable forms of ID, including photo IDs issued to non-citizens. Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles issued photo IDs provided to foreign nationals now contain a non-citizen notation on the back of the photo ID and license, but in a small notation, this could be easily missed by poll workers. State Ohio non-citizen identification, also used as a non-renewable, non-transferable, critical credential, is not acceptable as a form of identification for voting. According to the Secretary of State's precinct election training manual, the Montgomery County Board of Elections responded last week asking the court to dismiss Sturbridge's complaint with prejudice. Among its 8 defenses, the filing claims Sturbridge as an Ohio resident and voter, not to mention a precinct election official, doesn't have standing, and that he failed to exhaust administrative remedies. Reached for comment on Friday, Montgomery County Board of Elections Deputy Director Russ Joseph told me that he did not have much to add because litigation was still in a holding pattern. With that said, our PEOs are receiving thorough training and getting everything they need before Election Day. In February, the Board of Elections ordered Joseph to take his own training course on public records law after he acknowledged that he had released a confidential county prosecutor memo to the chairman and the county Democratic Party, who was challenging former Trentwood Mayor Mary McDonald's Republican primary candidacy, according to Dayton Daily News. In a reply to the BOE's motion to dismiss, Sturbridge's attorney argued that county's failure to train election officials to non-citizen IDs is not in dispute. Sturbridge has documented 3 separate occasions in which the Board of Elections failed to provide the training. In fact, now concedes that at a minimum, all training is provided for the precinct election officials during the day of September 25th, 2024, and prior to that date, did not address the unacceptable forms of photo identification cards, including those for non-citizens, the reply notes. Of course. So they're not going to tell you how to look for non-citizens ID, but they're going to sit here and say, well, if you're looking for the non-citizen ID, you're not the ID police, but you are the ID police because you're a poll watcher. So again, it's a circular thing. It's like, okay, well, you want to be a poll watcher. You want to make sure all of these elections are safe, free of election interference and all that. But then that's not your job, though. That's what they say. So then they get sued and they're like, well, here's I don't know what's actually going on here. And then they blame somebody else, and then they blame this person and blame this person. And then they'll say, well, after election time, we'll actually look into this. Like, no, you need to look into this now. Make sure that all of the non-citizens that already voted, we take those off the ballots. We alert them. We say, no, you're going to get arrested. You knew that you could not vote in our election, and you still did. That's finable at least. Instead of getting arrested, fine them. Again, they know that they cannot vote in our elections, and then they still do. So why? Because they're given all of this information through the mail that they can go and vote in our elections. They can't. No, it's illegal. So again, you must look at all of these things individually and say, okay, well, there's something happening here. There's something happening here. This cannot be a 2020 all over again, because people are not going to trust this election if these things are happening. If the Democratic Party really did care about democracy, then they would be paying attention to these very issues. These very issues will erase democracy off the ballot. It will make sure that our vote, that the ones that they quote unquote care about, are not counted. Because it's gonna go and distort them. It's gonna distort the actual voters, and it's gonna make sure that all of these people that are non-citizens have more power to vote than the actual American citizens. So, with that being said, we have another article. We have Missouri ballot question seeks to make taxpayer funds fund abortion until birth. The unconditional right to a taxpayer-funded abortion has no place in our just society. Abortion radicalism on the Missouri ballot, fresh off post-Dobbs victories and ballot referenda, to ensuring so-called abortion rights on the constitutions of various red states such as Kansas, Kentucky, and Ohio, pro-abortion interest groups are campaigning for the ratification of the Amendment 3, which would create the constitutional, quote, right to kill your baby, aka abortion, in the Missouri Constitution. As per usual, supporters of this amendment assert that theirs is the moderate position and that failure to pass the amendment would mean a complete abortion ban. But in reality, the amendment's placed in disruptive language would force Missouri abortion laws to the extreme left. This effort must fail. The ballot initiative asks Missourians if they want to amend our state constitution to abolish a right to make decisions about reproductive health. The inability to use the term abortion transparently as subject and have courts presume any governmental interference invalid. Note that this language does not include any age restrictions. Further, establishing a fundamental right to an abortion would force state courts to presume that any restriction on abortion during any stage of the pregnancy is unconstitutional. Parental consent laws, presumably unconstitutional. Parental notification laws, same. On that basis alone, the amendment would allow abortionists to pressure minors into life-changing decisions with no outside counsel. Which people don't even know this, but if you go into a pregnancy center, they will provide you all of these things for free. They will provide you, let's just say, oh no, I can't afford it. Okay, they're going to provide you diapers. They're going to provide you food. They're going to provide you whatever you need for the baby for the first couple of years, so you're all set. So you don't have to pay anything. And then the government gives you WIC. They give you all of these different programs that you can actually use to help take care of your baby. WIC is baby formula, baby food, diapers, stuff like that. They'll help you if you have the baby. A lot of these people are like, well, I can't afford a baby. Yes, the government helps you so much. And the government will only help you even more under Trump by giving you tax breaks, by giving you tax write-off, by making sure that all of these people have the actual funds to not have the abortion, but instead have the baby. And then the government will help you take care of that baby. If you really can't afford it, you have daycare services that you can give that baby to, so they can help you take care of that baby while you're at work, and then you pick up the baby after work. It's so much better to actually have the baby than to kill it or put it up for adoption. And people that actually are waiting for babies, that can't have babies themselves, would love nothing more than to have that baby for you, to take care of that baby for you, and to step in as the mom and the father. It's really upsetting. Giving a baby a chance at life is the best thing you can possibly do for a mom. And actually giving up on that baby and killing it instead is the worst possible thing that you can do. Every baby deserves a chance at life, and you killing that baby is taking away that chance at life. The baby could have changed the world. The baby could have been the next Albert Einstein. The baby that you are trying to kill could be the next person that changes the world in ways that we cannot presume imaginable. And you're taking away that chance just because of the fact that it's a minor inconvenience to you. Disgusting. With that being said, we have another Federalist article. We have after pledging to dial back left-wing activism, Disney's Star Wars elevates first ever trans clone trooper, which, if you know Star Wars, clone troopers are just a clone of the original clone trooper, which does not make any sense because they're all the same exact person. So to have a trans clone trooper doesn't make any sense. By now, many Americans are familiar with the leftist unhealthy obsession with forcing transgenderism into adults and children alike. But it turns out these delusions about biological sex are also popping up in a galaxy far, far away. By their latest act of leftist activism, the Walt Disney's company Star Wars brand is giving fans a look at its first ever trans-identifying clone trooper named Sister, according to Breitbart News. The character was originally introduced in a young adult novel 2 years ago, but is now getting the first visual appearance in a Star Wars encyclopedia. For those unfamiliar with the Star Wars universe, clone troopers are human clones of a bounty hunter, Jango Fett, a man having been created with Fett's DNA. All clones look identical to one another, sharing the same face, voice, and other physical features. According to Bonding into Cosmics, the illustrated encyclopedia is intended for kids and written from the perspective of Bad Batch's Captain Rex. The outlet shared a quote from the book in which Rex refers to Sister using female pronouns. When one of our kind expressed her gender identity differently than her fellow troopers, she feared she'd have to hide who she truly was inside. Rex said, according to the outlet, fortunately, her brothers in the 7th Sky Corps gave her name Sister as a constant reminder that she belonged. Artwork for Sister from the encyclopedia shared online shows the male clone along with long braided hair in white armor painted with the colors of the trans flag, which again does not make any sense whatsoever because of the fact that, again, like we just talked about, it's all a clone of a guy. So how can there be a trans clone if it's just a clone of the original guy? Which, again, they're trying to ruin Star Wars, one thing after another thing after another thing. The original people that made Star Wars should have just kept Star Wars. Of course, as soon as Disney bought it, they were already trying to sell it out. They automatically had shows at Disney World, which, okay, that's a little bit more fun. But then they started doing stuff like this that completely ruined the whole entire brand as a whole. Disgusting. If you are a Star Wars fan, I don't know how you're not mad at this. I would be mad. I watched almost every single one just in the last 5 years. I stopped watching them because I'm like, no, this is stupid. This is just the same exact thing over and over again. I was just done with it. But I watched the original trilogy, and it's easily one of the best shows. Really, really entertaining, really, really fun. With that being said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Dimitri Surujo Show. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.